morning, friends. Again, I welcome you. Or you say that it is evening, but I'm telling you morning. Maybe because of the reason for the first time I'm telling you this much of the thing this will do. It is interview session. In general, I used to just take the professional and bring him particularly just before the camera only because of the region. Who knows? Two of the words of a person will change the life of a person completely. This time with me is Mr.KJ R Burman, relative, my counterpart, whatever things are there. I'm thankful to him that he just gave me the time to just have some interaction here. Sir, first question here is that even after 75 years of independence, person is getting fear to talk to leaders and officers. Do you think it was that they are really free? If this happens to us, so they are mentally safe. What would you like to tell about this?
Could you reframe your question?
I mean to say it, or suppose I'm hungry.
Yeah.
I should go to you and tell you that I'm hungry, but I do not tell that much of thing. Suppose my road is actually broken, but I do not go to the very office concerned with you to tell it that road is broken. Leader comes, we vote, but we do not tell the thing to the leaders. Don't you think about that even after 75 years of independence, we do not have the courage to talk our problem to the concerned authority. Anybody will be there. Maybe leader is there, maybe some officer is there, and it is after India.
The concerned authorities are actually at various levels.
Yeah.
And as you know and we know, we have a three-tier democracy.
Yeah.
And so we have a three-tier system of administration also.
Yeah.
Relating to the three tiers, the different tiers of democracy. So the concerned person is always not necessarily accessible to the man on the street. That is because of the various tiers of democracy. So I expect that the person will be able to meet or approach or access at least somebody who's relating to that work or maybe relating to the problem or relating to the issue. And I think that is more or less available in most of the parts of the country. And barring a few remote areas or there are some physical boundaries, that is nothing to do with the 75 years of democracy, that is to do with the geography. But otherwise I think mostly people are able to access and relate the problem. But coming back to your question, that concerned person, I don't think it will be possible to everybody to meet the concerned person directly. That is because of the, as I say, nature of the democracy itself. We have three tiers. So every appropriate authority and appropriate stage will be dealing with the problem or the issue or the. So it may not be possible for anybody or everybody to meet the concerned person right away.
I think years back, you cracked UPSC, as I know, witness here. During that period and right now, what is the difference?
Between the period of...
Just to think the period you got your UPSC to be cracked, it is longer back. Right now it is, I think, 2024. You see people are in number more. Not to speak of that, many of the persons are there, they are committing suicide if they fail in the concerned area.
If you are asking me when I did the UPSC, the country was that time hardly 30 years. Of independence, 30 years. Today it is 75 years.
75 years, very good.
So any country, and it was a nascent democracy. It was, in the terms of a life cycle of a democracy, I would say it was just an infant. So I would not claim that we are a mature democracy as yet, but there is a qualitative difference between democracy which is 30 years old and democracy which is 75 years old. And So, but I do not exactly, what do you mean by suicide, what was the
Yeah, right now, suppose from quota, so I think result come person actually failed in the exam concern, they commit suicide. Maybe in the just I think Rovin Hibu, first IPS of Arunachal Pradesh, he told it over that one Mr. Jha was there at Delhi. He qualified this civil services examination 3 times. In Bhaiba, he was rejected, and after that, he committed suicide. I do think it out that if there is no IAS, if there is no UPSC, after that there is no life, it is not supposed to be so. Person can get better job or maybe worse job. That makes no difference at all. But for getting the exam not cracked, a person commits suicide. Is it not depression? Or do you think it was that the atmosphere given to the person was under pressure? कभी कभी ऐसा होता है ना कि हमारे माँ पिताजी ने हमको ये दिया ऐसा आपको करना है.
I think it may be suicide. If you actually, it is irrespective of UPSC and irrespective of
any of these service commission.
But suicide is considered a social phenomenon, and at least I would like to treat suicide as a social phenomenon. It may be due to economic condition, maybe due to the various socio-economic factors. So, but each individual, the circumstances under which the person is compelled to, take a drastic step, will vary from each case. I personally feel. But this social conditions create it. It's a peer group pressure, maybe it's a family pressure, maybe it is their own aspirations which are not able to meet.
Yeah.
So, that UPSC or non-UPSC may not be a matter. It may be something, a very small thing, something else also which may have triggered.
Yeah.
It may be a personal relation which did not, some way, his expectations were not met. Maybe it is his family's pressure which he was not able to handle. So, the years of democracy, I don't think is relevant in this case.
Yeah. In most of the cases, I do find like that even people complain. 80% population, maybe lower middle class, maybe middle class, or maybe SC, ST, whatsoever things are there. They make the government to be government. They make the very person to be sent to parliament and assembly. But when the material privilege is there, I do think about that downtrodden area is neglected like anything. I just quoted you the example of park. Park just to consider Uttarnagar or not so sorry, just the street you go, wherever you go, you will find a piles of this debris there. And they do not actually tell to any of the person, they hesitate to tell the thing they are habituated to live in the air. A person, a boy, they are just reading in my government school in class 4, class 5, class 6. When you ask the spelling of the class, we don't know, we don't share. So don't you think it about that in the time to come, they will simply become the burden to the country. Whatsoever just actually thing we tell about development, this and that. Unless the downtrodden is developed, I don't think it about that country will be getting equilibrium in the field of development. क्या कहेंगे इसमें? What would you like to say? और according to me, सरकारी स्कूल इज लाचारी स्कूल. जिसके पास पैसे नहीं है, लोग वहीं जाते हैं इंडिया में. हम ये नहीं कह सकते कि सरकारी स्कूल एकदम खराब है. हमने भी सरकारी स्कूल में पढ़ाई की है ना. तो सारे के सारे सरकारी स्कूल एकदम खराब ऐसा नहीं है, लेकिन मेजॉरिटी तो मुझे ऐसा ही दिखता है.
सरकारी स्कूल खराब है
नहीं, जैसे मान लीजिए कि जो सरकारी स्कूल के 10 बच्चे को हमने पकड़ा पार्क में, सबके सब अलग अलग क्लास में पढ़ते हैं. किसी से स्पेलिंग पूछिए ना, क्लास का किस क्लास में पढ़ते हो नहीं जानता है. स्कूल जाते हो, कभी जाते हैं कभी नहीं जाते हैं. तो अब ये जो सिनेरियो है, और एक तरफ ऐसे भी सिनेरियो है जो दिखाता है बहुत अच्छा, इसका मतलब है कि दिखाने के लिए हमने अलग से अच्छा रखा है और बाकी ऐसी जैसे तैसे.
You yourself have a long experience in school education.
My experience is that English medium school is getting education through Hindi medium. Teachers are teaching chemistry, physics in Hindi, not in English. This is what my experience tells.
Yeah, so what is I am not sorry.
हमारे कहने का तात्पर्य ये है कि मैं रोज दवा भरता हूँ कि सरकारी स्कूल बहुत अच्छा है. तो ये 7-8 महीने के पीरियड में मैं जितने सरकारी स्कूल के बच्चों से मिला हूँ, 1-2 को छोड़ करके सब तो एक जैसा ही है. या तो किसी को पढ़ने नहीं आता है, किसी को अपनी क्लास का स्पेलिंग नहीं याद आता, या किस क्लास में पढ़ता है, क्या है नहीं, स्कूल के टीचर, क्लास टीचर नहीं जानता। ये मैं सबको नहीं कह सकता, जिससे मैं
आप you yourself have been in a government school setup for long. I always used to say least, last and lost.
या
जो जिसका least means the access to education is the least.
या
Last is जिसको last में number आता है. And lost means quite a few times they, even if they are able to access the system, they are not able to some way assimilate, or we are not able to assimilate them. We are not able to absorb them. So we are handling with a population this is the least, last and lost.
That's right.
This is my understanding. So in this situation, it is first time, but sometimes it is the first generation learner. Parent maybe they don't have the advantage of education.
Yeah.
Sometimes there is a question of language, dialect.
Dialect. Yeah.
The teacher may be teaching in a dialect which the student is not able to follow. So these are challenges which are faced by the student in a government school.
Yeah.
Sometimes the teacher himself or herself is handicapped. They may not be, having the...
They don't know what to do. Somehow or other they actually just were adjusted in the school.
There is very little autonomy for the teacher.
Yeah.
There is very little autonomy for the school principal. So, school principal who is, teaching students in Arkepuram, if that person is then transferred to a school in, let's say, a remote area, now that I am sure 90% of the time the principal will be able to assess that the teacher, students of this school require a different kind of handling. But maybe the authorities or the system does not permit the principal or the to exercise that autonomy. So the principal will be teaching or will be able to or rather respond to a situation in the same manner as he or she is expected to deal with the problem in Arkepuram or any completely urban area and a rural area. It may not be Arkepuram, may not be Gold Market, it may not be, what I am talking about, the difference between a urban area and a rural area within the, let's say, city of Delhi. So, when the principal does not have the autonomy, the teacher does not have the autonomy, but the students are completely from two different backgrounds. So, you will obviously get different results. So, maybe we ought to give more autonomy to the principals, we ought to give more autonomy to the teachers. I personally, I am not a teacher. I have repeatedly said in my career also that I can be, a commissioner for prohibition today. I can be a commissioner for excise tomorrow. But I cannot be a teacher. Or actually,
all the times you are not living with the students.
No, because a teacher requires different kind of skills. The teacher is able to assess a student much better than whatever kind of assessment we generally develop. So it is not an administrative problem, it is a knowledge problem. And the knowledge, you cannot have knowledge in a hierarchy. Knowledge requires a horizontal linkage, knowledge requires a horizontal outreach. So I would personally feel, I don't know, well, if I have been able to answer your query, but I think the problem of government school or private school is...
Okay, no problem. Here two more questions.
More complex.
One thing I think day before yesterday, two of the children I asked. One was doing class 8, another was 9. What would you like to become in your life? One was telling I want to become IAS. Another was telling I want to become a Pele.
How to become a?
Not Pele, you can say footballer, you can say. Then I had to put a question. Footballer. So suppose if that type of boys are there, or maybe the persons who are actually just struggling a lot to become IAS or just crack this UPSC, what type of suggestion would you like to give? as one of the topper told, 1 year, 12 hours. Every day, if a person labors, that person will become IAS. Everybody has got, I think, individual experience, not the general experience to crack the thing. Is it not, sir? Sometimes I find the person who doesn't actually just become IAS, but actually train the person to become IAS. Many a times this happens to be so, as incident turns at some of the TV serial is telling. So, जैसे somebody want to become, could you just give some guidelines, a few lines?
About somebody wants to become a
IAS.
IAS or civil service.
Civil service examination, just you want to crack.
Yeah. Today it is the system is oriented towards exams.
Yeah.
So the person must familiarize, find out the method of examination, method of interview, what is the current trend, and has to familiarize himself or herself. A. B. That he must have had a lot of patience, because the trends also it keeps on changing.
Yeah.
You know, every 2-3 years the trends change. So if this person is actually wants to select the civil service as a career option, must be very, very sincere and also patient about it. But I would like to say that it applies to any career a person. If he wants to be an athlete, I think the same methods apply, the same principles apply. One has to have sincerity, devotion and patience. If the person wants to, any sphere of life, it has got, whether it's civil service or whether it is sports or whether it is
maybe armed forces, whatsoever things are there.
Yeah. So it is. I think that same applies. So I would rather say that there is a certain general principles. Any aspiring person as a career option must adopt and choose. And then civil service has, every service has, or every career has its own specifics. So it will depend on at what point of time and what point of career or what life cycle he would like to, take that test. I think it will depend on that.
Okay, I think it is really praiseworthy to just give this type of suggestion. I do think about that certainly the person who is listening, they must be just adopting it here. Last question, I think, according to your, I think sometimes in course of discussion, I came to know that you were education secretary. So right now, new education policy is there. And sometimes some of the students actually complain about it here. It is not good. But sometimes it is likely to be so that persons are getting any of the qualification, maybe class 10 or maybe class 12. Twice the exam is to be held. Certainly they will pass, majority of the thing. So what type of ideology is here there? To make the person to be standing in the line, educated, literate, whatsoever things are there, whether they know it or not. But they must pass the exams and number of the person increasing in class 10, in class 12. And after that they stand in the queue of unemployed. New education policy and old education policy. The new education policy...
Frankly, I have not, the new education policy, I have read only as a public document. I have really not had the opportunity to apply. And it is too early to see. It is just unveiled just a few months back. Because for any policy, there are certain rough edges which has to be smoothed. So I think it will, because as they move along, maybe those, course corrections will take place. And so it may be early to pass a judgment on the new policy. So far as the old policy is concerned, in 1985 the policy which was adopted. It carried on till, let's say, even after the RTI was introduced, RTI did envisage that another new policy will, RTI means that right to RTE, not RTI.
Right to education.
Right to education 2009. So it did envisage that another policy will be adopted. Maybe that policy took time, and but the curriculum development, then there is evaluation procedure. These are systems which, unless the school teacher is comfortable, the school teacher is conversant, it becomes very difficult. I can tell you about the old policy also. There was something known as CCEP, Continuous Comprehensive Education Evaluation Procedure. In the old policy was, envisaged.
Yeah.
But I saw a lot of resistance among the teachers about CCEP.
See.
So now CCEP, because they said continuous evaluation it increases their burden, it increases, and it may not actually yield much results.
Yeah.
That is one about the examination system. The second thing is, we even now have very little, even as students or even as teachers, we rarely evaluate the level of learning. The exam has nothing to do with the level of learning. The exam what we have is a level of what you have been given, the book you have been given and what you have learned from that book. I personally see there is something known as minimum level of learning. The NCERT also and education itself does talk of minimum level of learning. But I am not familiar with any test being done regularly in any state government assessing the minimum level of learning among the students. And unless MLL is, unless we have some data about MLL, we will very rarely know actually what the student has learned. So, I personally did try it out in few states, to get the evaluation done. But what is the level of learning? But it becomes very difficult in higher classes because the pressure for the exams and their, orientation for the development of, career progression becomes so important that rarely this minimum level of learning can be assessed. But I personally think for class 3, class 5, class 8 at least, across the states and across the schools, this should be done. And particularly for subjects like math, science and language. If MLL is assessed, maybe we will have a better idea of, maybe what you were saying that they pass out and without learning anything. We will have some knowledge about whether they have learned something or not. I don't know if I answered your question, but I think I have.
My personal experience is that in the exam of class 5, half yearly, I saw teacher writing the name of the student on the answer script. And what for are you writing? The answer was they do not know. And what did you do in the 5 years? In 5 years, he did not come or she didn't come directly to class 5. Right from a KG, they actually came to here. You simply make the murder of these children. Maybe you are a teacher, but I think you are a murderer.
That is
Just in front of Prince Dhawan, IAS, I simply told it over that, Mr. IAS or maybe whoever, if you don't come to your office and you draw your salary, you are a criminal. If I do the same, I am a criminal, my principal is a criminal, and all the criminals are actually protecting criminals. It not here. So after that he is listening to me. And suppose whatever thing is a reality that requires some sort of, you can say, just a expression of, unless expression is made, I don't think it about that, it will go to the year.
You cannot blame that teacher or that officer. Because
I'm not blaming anybody.
I'm saying that we ourselves,
please listen to me.
if we don't develop those tools, if we don't develop
I
those
don't
tools,
blame anybody. I simply
if you
tell.
don't develop those tools, you will not be able to learn where the student stands. So why blame the examiner or blame the student? It is for, a system has to develop those tools. And those tools are available. NCERT every year, those tools are available right now in NCERT. NCERT itself, but they don't pass it on to the teachers, no state government uses it. There are tools for studying the minimum level of learning for math, science and English for class 2, class 5, class 8. It is in my personal knowledge. But I don't think many states ever use it.
I simply just talk about Ramsai, not state. Ramsai Secondary School, where I was posted in the capacity of headmaster, there I saw the thing. I am not actually gathering from anywhere.
No, I agree. I am saying, but that is the issue of the system. It has gone something to do with Namsa. You have
Not
said-
Namsa, you can say other schools
Since
also.
you are saying that it is so obviously I accept it, but I am saying it is across the country.
Yeah, yeah.
When we have the data, whatever data is assert data.
Yeah, yeah.
You know it is for only 20 schools in a district. I don't know if it is statistically significant or not, but that data is the only data is available to us.
Yeah, yeah.
But 20 schools in a district, I don't think it can, or whatever data is, generated from that. I personally would find it very unsatisfactory to draw conclusions on the basis of 20 schools in a district. But because we don't have anything more, or at least I have not seen it in the public domain, so people are willing, dependent on that data only.
Yeah. We had a healthy discussion. I think something may be feasible, something may be really supposed to be acceptable, something just worth rejection. After all, life goes, life continues. So far as knowledge is concerned, I do think it out that as much information a person actually retain in the mind, maybe this is the knowledge. And it actually just get different type of dimension as I think like that. Maybe it is my personal view. Besides that, everybody is doing the same thing, just actually eats, drinks, make merry within the capacity. Thank you, sir, very much
Thank
for
you,
giving
Mr.
the time.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. और ज़्यादा बोल दिया तो सॉरी मैं यहीं से.
नहीं,
Thank you.
it's